Implied vol, high or low. And who cares if your watch list is trash? Time to sharpen your edge on the Trader's Workshop after the bell. Yeah. Good morning. Hello, lads. How are you? Mark?
Doing all right. How are you doing, Lex?
Good. I'm enjoying the summer, I must admit. I would say enjoying the summer to the point of trading very little. I know the markets have been interesting.
You're not the only one, apparently.
Yeah, so a little side note on options volume. Last year, I think we ended the year around 45-ish million on average per day. Is that about right, guys? I think, give or take a million. I can't remember. We've gotten to the 55 million mark this year, right? So, it's definitely up. I know our friend Henry at Seaboard is happy about that. So that's good news. Although I would say that April time zone, the retail space, kind of sat on their hands because of those violent 1.5-2% moves every other day. But that was a VIX 30 plus handle back then, and we're looking at a VIX 16 handle now, just barely. So here we are, implied volatility, high or low. What are what's going on? And I know you, Jason, I think you want to get into realized versus implied, which is to me a very important metric. But let's fold it open here and see what we got.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people on my streams and, just kind of people trying to talk to me about trading is marveling at the fact that implied volatility is only 16, which is implying a 1% move per day, or per 3 days. Right. So but what I counter with is we haven't had a 1% move now in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, we get close a little bit, but we haven't. And so realized vol, which is always kind of the starting point of is implied volatility, too high or too low.
Mm-hmm.
And realized vol in the 30-day is only 10.5%. And for 10-day, it is 7.6%. So the at the money vol of 13 or the VIX of 16, which, is talking about skew a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's higher than the realized vol. So I would argue that vol is not low enough.
Yeah, but don't we always have some sort of lag though of sorts, right? I mean, doesn't delivered or realized get to where it goes first and then kind of implied drags itself a little bit?
Yes, I mean historically, yes, but I think the other thing is, especially with skew being skew's been going up and down pretty heavily. I think out way on the wings, skew has been a little bit expensive, mm-hmm. But there has also been a lot of option selling out there by like customers, retail, etc. I mean, we talked about that one of the other shows where 0 DTE people and 1 DTE people are selling a lot of condors. And that's becoming like a very popular trade. So yeah, I guess I would be expecting implied vol to be coming down with everybody selling it.
Yeah. It makes sense, I guess. Mark, any thoughts on this one? I know from our market maker background, we definitely looked at, I think, implied versus realized a good bit. Do we move? We kind of moved our markets as needed relative to our inventory, I guess. And personally, I probably didn't care too much. Low or high, I knew when it was low, and I probably leaned to the Vega long side of things, naturally, and vice versa to the upside. So from a market maker's perspective, do you have any different angle on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of interesting what Jason said, right? Like, it does seem like there's a lot of strategies out there, customer side, institutional side, that are selling options and strategically selling options. So you kind of wonder why that's not depressed vol any more than it where it is, because I'm seeing the exact same thing. Like on a 30-day basis, like VRP trailing is like double where it averages historically. We're at like 4 and 5 clicks when that historical average is just under 2 usually, long term. So I wonder about that flow aspect and wonder why we're not seeing it. But I think there are enough arbitrageurs out there that are willing to buy vol because, like, look at how much we've moved in the past. Obviously not, 1% days in the last 30 days. There haven't been any, but, this market has the potential to really explode in one direction or the other. So I think there's plenty of demand. You just might not hear about it, or maybe it's a little more surreptitious. Maybe it's market makers accumulating, savvy institutions. But given where vol's been in the not so distant history, is I think there are plenty of reasons to be buying.
Yeah, I love that. I think I saw something on LinkedIn today from Henry Schwartz, who's the flow master and watches all this data. And I can't, I didn't have a chance to really go in depth with it, but one of the metrics that he was pointing to is that customer side had sold 50,000. It could have been way more than that, but I see for some reason I remember 50,000 put credit spreads. It might have been linked with a call credit spread in a gigantic iron condor, and the market making community had the long side of it, right? And it was like some for $15 million sort of credit all in, and that was right around some Iranian news and that sort of thing. So they were pretty far out of money, like 18-19% of the money, but still it was a gigantic number that they had sold. So my feeling is that retail is probably doing a lot of that selling, and they're not as geared into high or low vol. They're geared into what is the price and can I get in and get out for a profit, right?
Well, I think from what I've been hearing around is that retail has been fairly price agnostic. They just kind of see this as a trade, a rhythmic trade strategy. Do this condor. If I lose, up my size, and kind of martingale it a little bit.
Yep.
That's what that the famous Captain Condor guy says, right? What's his name? David Chow, who's been doing 1 DTE condors now, and when he loses, he just increases his size. He doubles his size.
That's so good till you get to the limit, or you get to your limit.
Yeah, until you're felted. But what we've been seeing though is a lot of that, kind of 20, 25 delta range in the closer tenors has been sold, but the wings in the I guess you could say it's like the 5 to 10 delta range, about a month out, has been bought. So there's been a lot of buying, I guess you could say like big hedging, both and mostly on the put side, but there has been quite a bit on the call side as well. A lot of hedging for these rapid possible economic moves.
Right.
I'm surprised that, July 9th, I know that the tariff thing has passed, but July 9th, even with these letters being sent out with like 50% tariffs on Brazil and, 40% on Myanmar, where we import a lot. I think I'm surprised that hasn't had more of an impact on the market.
Yeah, it seems like we've just sort of absorbed the tariff thing all of a sudden. I mean, it was the catalyst for massive moves when we were first talking about it, and now all of a sudden it's still being talked about. It seems like we just glaze over it now.
I think it's because it's so fluid that everybody's learned not to overreact, and I think now everybody is underreacting. But
yeah.
But that being said, doesn't that our opinion on it doesn't really matter much, right?
Yeah, I guess not. What I was thinking is that remembering back to the trading days again, I don't remember a lot of times when implied vol got lower than realized. It always seemed like it was spaced above it to some degree. That if that relationship got crunched, it got crunched to near zero or implied slightly above. So it's kind of like skew in a way where, the zero mark might have been two vol points over realized, and that was as low as it was going to ever get, with an occasional lip. And then when it was really, it was 10 points over. So it never
I'll tell
really
you.
but it always stayed around it on the low side, and it's way higher on the upside. Are you guys still seeing anything?
That's what I was about to say. Usually, implied volatility is not high enough in times of market stress. Like you'll see realized vols like 10-day realized vol skyrocketing, and implied vol has to chase it up.
Yeah, and it seems like it never catches it. It realized kind of does its little loop back down by the time implied gets up to it. It seems kind of counterintuitive to me.
Yeah.
Right? You think the market making community would move that quicker, but maybe they don't have to because that's what they're getting in inventory, right?
Yeah.
So, Mark, nice hat, by the way.
There's one coming your way if I get that self-addressed envelope.
I'm sending you the self-addressed envelope. Jason's not sending me a hat. I know that, for God's sakes.
I sent you a hat, and
I know I have
lost it.
No, I didn't lose it. It's in my pickle bag. And I don't know what a pickle bag is. I just said that. I know what pickle is. I mean, pickleball. That's what I meant.
Speaking of pickle bag, did Henry sanction your use of his nickname Flowmaster?
Well, I call him that on Mark Luongo's show, the Flowmaster. Mark made it up, I think. I really do. I can't remember, but Henry knows the answer to that.
You do realize that's like a toilet thing, right?
I see him. Yeah, the Flowmaster. He's definitely the Flowmaster. He's very good at those numbers. So, if you folks don't know who he is, make sure you check him out. He's got some great info too. And good friend of Jason's, by the way. Okay. What was our next topic? Oh, watch list. So here's the reason for the watch list, and we jumbled it all in here. I'd love your opinions on this one. So I had a Reddit post that I replied to. I do some replies to some Reddit posts, for our marketing group. And the post generally, I don't remember exact words, but this individual was wanted to play options, okay, in a really, really illiquid, underline and illiquid options, wide markets, very little volume, very little open interest. You can imagine what my response was. And it kind of moved itself toward I called it the Mag 7 watch list, only because the Mag 7 happens to be lovely price stocks, meaning they're 3 digits, which I happen to like. Some people don't like that, but I do. They also move around a lot, so implied volatility can kind of waft in and out and up and down, which I think is good for opportunity. And number 3, they are enormously liquid in both options and underlying. So any comments, thoughts? I know we could add others to the Mag 7, but what are your thoughts on that whole liquidity thing and what this gent was trying to do? I mean, I'm assuming, Mark, you chop him down a little bit, right? And tell him stay away from illiquidity and $2 wide markets. You're going to get eaten up.
Yeah, I mean, like my take on illiquid markets is that the best thing about your Mag 7, your SPYs, all these great things is that like you don't really have to worry about pricing because billions of dollars are solving that question for you every second.
Yep.
If you're looking at the illiquid names, though, like there can be real opportunities, right? Like the reason they're wide is because the other side doesn't know what's going on either. And so the reason the market makers are quoting a wide spread is because like they've got a really big standard error term around what their price should be, whether it's the price of vol, whether it's the price of rates, whatever that might be. So to the extent that you do have an edge, like don't worry about taking that $2 wide market, because if you fish in the middle, you're going to spook someone that also doesn't know, and you should be trading for dollars of edge in that scenario, right? So if you have something, go for it, cross that market, don't worry about the spread. But you've got to know something. You can't just trade based on the same type of risk transfer that you'd be doing in, an ultra liquid name.
Right. Yeah. That all makes a lot of sense. So the knowing something is critical. If you have a very strong opinion, you're gonna give up edge to get in and out of that trade most likely. But having said that, something, or you have a strong opinion about direction or something else.
That is mispriced, right? Like people are demonstrating that they are uncertain by the width of that spread. And you're not going to get off 1,000 lot in the name or whatever, but you could see some real movement if you're correct.
Yeah. And then what does your opinion change if the individual trying to do this is a newbie, meaning a very beginner in options? Would your opinion change any on that one?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I think the number of things that you can learn or like get wrong in doing an options trade are going to swamp, even the best edge in that scenario. So I would say if you've dabbled a little bit, you've seen the weird ways they bend and wiggle and react to different pricing scenarios, and you see an edge, then you can get in. But that definitely shouldn't be your first trade.
Yeah. And then, would you guys recommend in those more liquid names, maybe a little risk defined spread if available? At least you have a little hedge on against it instead of straight naked. I mean, I like being straight naked, don't get me wrong, but yeah.
It depends. It really depends on the liquidity that you're looking at, right? Like trying to put on a call spread or something, like you might be crossing two spreads and, potentially making it worse. There might not be the right strikes to do it on. So, if it really is illiquid and wide like that, take a leg and risk manage it by size.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay,
Yeah,
Jason, any ideas on this one? Any thoughts on the illiquid versus the Mag 7-esque ones?
Yeah, well, I agree with Mark completely that if you are going to trade those kind of options, you better have an edge larger than you're giving up, because you're going to give up, $1 spread, from the mid, and you're not going. And if you're trying to get out of it, you're probably going to be giving up $1 getting out of it as well. So you're getting double hit with heavy spreads, or if you're even holding to expiration, then you're going to have volatility as your problem. My first options trade was on an extremely illiquid stock, and everything went wrong. It was a binary catalyst coming up for a biotech stock, and the spread was like 50% of the underlying. And my thesis was, it was about a 50-50 spread as to what people thought it was going to be. So it was a true binary. I was on the right side of it, but because the borrow cost was so high, the liquidity was so bad, and the implied volatility was so high, I was on the right side. So you could say my edge was realized, and I still lost. Like that. So that's how, when you start trading in illiquid names, that kind of stuff will happen to you. You need an edge that outsized, that is larger than the edge that you're giving up.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that got me on the question, I think, and why I responded the way I did, was that the person was new to options. That's the first tip off to me that I kind of went down the path Mark just did. Listen, if you're new to options, don't kill yourself. Let's go play spiders for a while, and so you get in and out of everything. It's a pick a market, and learn what the how options behave first as a newbie, right? So don't let another element, illiquidity, ruin your experience. Let's get in and understand what the game here first, and then we can move to bigger and better things, right?
But options on spiders act differently than if you're on some some fringe stock. So I mean, it's kind of hard to you could spiders doing options on spiders. It's just a completely different ball game than the illiquid ones. But I agree with you, especially if you're just starting with options. Start with something very liquid. Your little ticker there in the bottom shows a lot of good examples of possible.
Those are good. Those are my Maggies right there. Amazon, Microsoft.
I saw Walmart on there, and
Walmart. Yeah.
Right. UNH. He decided to gamble on that one.
When Mark and I were on the floor, though, I would tell you that I have an opposite opinion. I mean, not fully, but I never want to trade spiders. As a market maker, I have no interest. There's no edge there. And we had one of the greatest stocks ever when it first came out. It was called DoubleClick. It was in the new tech era, DCLK, I think it was, and it was new, and we didn't know anything about it. And we made markets that we were the DPM, the specialist in it. We made markets that were super wide, and it was active. And for a while, the markets were wide, and people were trading on our bids and offers. I'm like, okay, sign me up for that one. That's an easy one, right? And plus, the stock moved around on top of it, which was great for us. So that was terrific. But as a a dealer, I don't want any part of spiders at all. I don't know how they make markets in that. They must make a one-sided market. They're like 101 bid at 108, and there's everything in the middle between that offer.
Well, it's fee games there. PFOF is different in spiders. Like it's a different game. Like but I think for retail, you absolutely want to be in there. Like that's
retail's different, right?
The cheapest place to learn. You have dollar-wide spreads. A couple $100, you can learn quite a bit about options in these names.
Yep, for
Stuff
sure.
that expires immediately. You get to realize that type of dynamic. See how theta. It's as a learning ground. It's incredible.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Cool. Okay, good. Anything else for us this week, boys? It's kind of sleepy summertime. I feel the middle of July. It's back in the day. Mark and I'd be reading the newspaper. I'd be trying to go to the golf course. Bugging out. It's kind of that time.
Yeah, I think things might ramp up a little bit when this August 1st deadline starts approaching.
Yeah,
probably. Maybe.
Yep.
Maybe not. Who knows?
maybe not.
If you have an opinion on that, there's an options market for you.
Yeah, that's right. You can make a trade. So, all right, let's do some advertising. Mark, you go first. Advertise.
Harvested Financial option strategies. We use a combination of bots and long-term strategies for helping people solve investment problems with options.
Perfect. And Jason?
So I'll do Volin so that I don't do a complete competitive thing with Mark. But anyway, Volin is option dealer position modeling so that you can see option dealer positioning in terms of their notional Greeks, help you make your market decisions.
Awesome. And then we at Tradier, we are hub.tradier.com. You can sign up and subscribe for this channel and see more great content. And I'm going to give my email out, which is nuts because I do one-on-one demos online of our platforms and other things. There's a series called Ask Lex, and then there's a series with just me. You can do that through my email, lex@tradier.com. Send me one. You'll get the calendar link back. It's all easy. It's all free, and it's fun. Promise.
Lex is doxing himself.
That's right. Great to see you guys as always. Happy summer. I think that's going to be it. I got a big golf tournament this weekend, and let's see how horribly I can play. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, really bad.
Good. Hack away.
All right, you guys have a great rest of the week. Good to see you.
Take it easy, Lex.
You too. Happy trading.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.